Hey, Charles.
Hey, Pete.
Hey, have you ever put two SCADAS frames together to use them as kind of one unit?
I have, but it's been a long time. Use a refresher.
Yeah, one of the units that you want to use would be considered a main unit. The one with some additional channels, like maybe you want to use a thermocouple 2 along with all your data channels.
Hmm.
Uh, that's going to be considered the secondary unit. Okay,
Gotcha.
but we want to use these together. So one of the first things we're going to do is tell this SCADAS, like, you're no longer the main unit, you're going to be a secondary unit. And guess how we do that?
You know what? I do recall that there being a switch.
Yeah, there's a switch right here. It's got an M and an S,
Yep.
and it's on this main secondary module. Does your SCADAS have one of these, Charles?
My SCADAS does not have this module.
Yeah, because these are optional. So in order to take advantage of two units and kind of combine them as one, you have to buy separately these main secondary modules. But good news for you, Charles, if you buy one, you can insert it into an existing unit so that you can make it a main secondary. And so on that MS switch on the secondary unit, you're going to change that from M to S. So there's
Yep.
no secondary.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. And then guess what? This card here, which I guess you would call it the controller card,
Yep.
you're not going to be able to use it on the secondary frame because it's,
Wow.
you
Okay.
see, there's an Ethernet connection that goes to the PC. Well, this card's going to be disabled. It's not going to allow it to be attached to a PC.
Okay.
What happens is after you kind of connect these up with some fiber optic cables, you're going to connect just to the main unit through Ethernet, and then you'll be running Test Lab on your PC, and all the data will come there, and you'll get a single file with all the channels in it because everything is going to come through this one port.
That makes sense. That's convenient.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of all channels, if I'm not going to use that control card in my secondary front end, can I stick a different card in there?
Yeah, you can. So since you're not going to use this as the main unit anymore, you're free to put data acquisition cards in its place so that you can have even more channels that you put all together.
Perfect. If a little's good, more is better.
Yeah. And then these cables that I showed a second ago, they actually look a bit like this. Can you tell what type of cable that is?
I think that's a fiber optic cable.
Yep, that's just a standard fiber optic cable. Moves at the speed of light. It makes these two units look like they're one unit to the computer because the backplane is connected through this fiber optic cable.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and in fact, you need two of these cables. So what you're going to do is on one of the units, there's a little thing here where it says next previous.
Mm-hmm.
So what you do is with this fiber optic cable, you go from next on the main unit to the previous connection on the secondary. And then on the secondary, you go from next to previous. So it kind of makes a round trip, if you will.
Got it. So what happens if I have 3 units?
Yeah, it gets a little more interesting. So you go from the next on the main unit,
Mm-hmm.
previous on the secondary, like we did before.
Okay.
But then you don't complete the trip yet. Then you go from the next on that secondary unit to the previous on the secondary unit, if that's the word.
Yep, I follow you.
Yeah, and then you complete the round trip by going from the next here back to the previous on the main.
Oh, okay. Makes sense.
Kind of forms a ring. I think they call that ring topology or something like that.
Sounds fancy.
Yeah, something fancy like that. So yeah, when we're ready to go, basically, we got the cables crisscrossing like this. This one is no longer in use unless you replace it with a data card. And then when we go to power up, there's a little caveat you have to be aware of. The secondary unit should be powered up first. And then after that's powered up, you power up the main unit. If you do it in vice versa, guess what happens, Charles?
Well, if that order of operations matters, I think it's not going to work.
Yeah, well, it'll work. You'll see all the channels on the main.
Yep.
which I guess you could call working, but all the channels on the secondary you won't see if you power that second, because these have to be on and present when you power up the main unit for the
Okay.
channels to be known.
That's a key point.
Yeah. And then you go out and you take your data. There's no difference setting up the channels and everything in the software. It's the same thing. You get everything in a single throughput file or single set of FRFs. And then when you're ready to tear down, guess what you should do?
I'm thinking we need to switch back to main on our secondary unit.
Yeah. If you're going to use this again as a main unit, it's a good courtesy to the next user to switch it back to main so they can take data with it. Otherwise, if they don't notice, the next person that comes along that this is set to secondary, the unit won't work at all for them because you can't plug in and use the Ethernet. They'll be cursing you secretly or something.
I guess so quickly on that one because I've lived that scenario.
Yeah. The other thing you should do, because some people we've noticed tend to forget, is turn off the power on this unit too. Like, okay, I turned off the power on the main unit, but that doesn't shut off the secondary because they're only connected for the data transfer, but not connected by a single power cable, essentially. And so you want to turn that off so the battery doesn't die while it's being stored.
That makes sense as well for the next person.
Yeah, and that's all there is to it. Was that a good refresher, Charles?
I think I'm ready to go.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
All right, thanks, Pete.